Alright YouTube, I wanted to do a quick update video on the press build here. In the last video I think we left off with maybe doing a little test squish with a piece of 2x4 and a piece of round stock of some type. Worked great for that. Shortly after that I was using it for some other stuff, and I think I was using the other dies there, but either way it doesn't matter. I started having issues with this part of the press not dropping back down. The jack would go down, but this would kind of get stuck sideways, or it just wouldn't go down. Had to tap it with a hammer or jiggle it around, and then it would finally drop down. But that was a pain in the butt when you were trying to press something before it got cooled off too much. So what I ended up doing is I took a little sander or grinder and got some of the sticky paint off there, because I thought maybe the paint was getting warm and tacky and making it bind up. Didn't help. So I got to thinking, and the only other thing I could come up with is that under load, these square tubes here, they were curving ever so slightly like this, so they were tighter here in the middle. And turns out I believe I was right, because what I did is, what I did is I put a little, I don't think it was a bottle jack, I think it was a scissor jack out of a car, pushed these apart fairly hard just to spread them ever so slightly, and then I put U-channel up and down the sides. And so far so good, it hasn't acted up since. It's been going up and down real smooth, so I think I got that part figured out. I don't know if I had any of this stuff on here, but all this is an adjustment. It's not so important for flat dies, but when you're using dies like that, kind of matters where it sits in relation to the other one, because if it's slightly off, your material will kick up or down depending on where they're at. So it's nice to have that little bit of adjustability. To get the die out, all you gotta do is take these nuts off and slide it right off there. And then the top die, I just came up with that little jobby there that holds that in. Has a little bit of slop in the, that's sticking to the paint now. But yeah, that top die moves back and forth ever so slightly, but not much. So I think it'll be all right there. All right, and for the controls, all I used here was a little piece of welding wire for, I think it was for oxyacetylene welding, but as you can see there's excess there I could snip off. It just goes up, has a bend in it to hook into the tube there. And the air hose obviously hooks up to the end, and then when it's in place it kind of hangs about right there. So that's easy to grab. Jack's held in place with a pair of vice grips. Nothing fancy, it does its job. So I don't think I'm going to change that, because it's easy to get the jack in and out if need be. And the release handle, super simple. Piece of round stock comes up here, welded on obviously. Comes up around, makes a loop, holds that in place. This will slide back and disengage if needed for whatever reason. To release, it's just a little eighth of a turn or whatever. Doesn't take much to release it, so it's really quick. Handle there, release there. One-handed operation is pretty slick. Have used it a few times. Let's see, what did I make with that? I squished this thing out, a railroad spike. Stretched it all the way out, made a little stake turn. That was a really old railroad spike. It had a bunch of, is that going to focus? Had a bunch of pitting in it and stuff from Ross, so it's not spectacular, but it's decent. First one I made. And I didn't use the press for this other stuff, but it was still stuff I made. What else did I do? Oh, here, this thing. Working on a hot cut. This was actually an old leaf spring. This thing was, it was super thick. I don't know what this thing was out of. I found it actually along the road, but it was a piece of broken leaf spring out of a big semi or something, or a heavy, I don't know, triaxle. I have no idea what it was out of, but it was super thick, so I squished it all down using the press, of course, and turned it into a hot cut, which obviously is not finished yet. Still got to finish grinding it down and shaping it a little bit, but it'll work pretty good when it's done, because the one that I had fabbed up like super duper quick the other day, you know, it's not the greatest, to say the least, but it worked for what I needed at the time. So I think that's pretty much it. There's some other stuff that's in the works. This was actually a knife that was already done. It's like super old and handle was falling off. I'm just going to try to fix it up a little bit so it's usable. It's kind of nice for slicing open watermelons. All right, well that's pretty much the press in a pinch. The only thing I'd like to do to this thing yet, or for this thing yet, is build its own little stand. I just put some quick little legs on it so that it would stand up on its own. I would like to make, like I say, some kind of stand. It actually needs to be a little bit lower to be comfortable to use too, so not sure what I'm going to use yet. Probably some kind of angle iron, and who knows. But like I say, that's all I want to do to it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll answer what I can. Hopefully I get some more videos out soon. Stay tuned.